Hey the rulers, DMO73 here, back from FowFest with our first feature match featuring myself checking out solo Aideen with his new tools, and against Robert, who is showing us how Call of the Monarchs meta works. Let's go ahead and jump right in. Ruler School is brought to you by Odyssey Games, where you can go to pre-order upcoming Force of Will sets, ccgprime.com for singles and supplies, cardodoko.com for those rulers in the international market looking for product, as well as our guest lecturer members Vite Ramen and Full Grammar Alchemist. Class is in session. So we are getting into it here. I am playing solo Aideen, so I'm starting at 2,500 life, and I'm not going to get that extra 1,000 that comes with partnering with Alex, but I do get some pretty neat tricks here. And Robert is playing Robo Maeda using the XR that makes Call of the Monarch usable more and pumps everybody up when you do more Call of the Monarch. And, you know, you get to send stuff to the graveyard and stuff instead. So we're going to see how this goes using one of those cool Ruler School dice from Force of Will Festival, and we're going to jump right in. So I'm going to be going first. One of the biggest new cards that came out in the new set, specifically that supports Aideen, is Wang Xia. Absolutely amazing card. Makes it so anytime any player would gain life, you actually gain 400 more. This means that any little small life gain that Aideen would give your opponent actually becomes a big life gain, which then drains them more, which is particularly crazy when the fact that every single time you play a card with Torrent, suddenly Aideen is generating a token that is essentially a Lucifer, so it gets a little silly there. We're going to start with the Throm's Pack of Hounds just to already start the life drain out of the way, since we're giving Robert an extra 1,000 life to start, and it serves as a nice little blocker. So right there, you also see that he milled 2 because a ruler got arrested. That's how the XR works. We send another 2 to the graveyard by calling Stone. Nothing to Call of the Monarch there right off the bat. So we'll see if there's any kind of play here. So again, Aideen's not trying to hit you in the face. He's not trying to swing a lot. He's trying to set up a nice little wall, and then through the use of life loss or life gain stuff, really set you up to just be able to get drained to death, which is really, really cool. And your opponent can't gain any life there. So once again, we're just going to call Stone and pass. He'll lose another 300 from Pack of Hounds, doing some pretty good work here. Go to call another Stone. We're going to mill a couple more cards. This helps to be able to set up Robert to be able to try to do Call of the Monarch, but we're just truly not hitting anything here off the top in terms of pretty good things to Call of the Monarch. We do see he finally saw a moose, so we're going to see this brought out here. Now, it's an interesting take to try to do a moose gimmick right now. It doesn't get him a ton of value. It comes into play tapped, and my guy's going to be able to attack it, Pack of Hounds, with First Strike and Bane, but it does give us an opportunity to play Wang Xia, so we'll take it. We're going to go ahead and use Wang Xia to protect herself a little bit thanks to her own ability. You're probably not going to use it in this build much more than just once, just so that you can keep recycling her, because once you find one, you want to keep the one so that you can kind of keep that drain cycle going. Like I said, we're going to go ahead and use a Pack of Hounds to go into the Moose. We have First Strike and Bane, so that's helpful. You know, if we were in Robert's shoes, we might have waited to try to do that Call of the Monarch until the end of my turn. It might have still gotten killed, but at least it increases his options. A little bit of an error there trying to call Stone by grabbing the top stone of his main deck, or top card of his main deck, when it should be call Stone there. We're going to mill 2, Sword of Progression, and another Fossil Girl. He takes another 3. There's a number of cards here still kind of facing a board where I'm going to probably get to cast a lot of things that start draining here pretty often. And the nice thing is there's some pretty cool stuff, and a lot of his stuff has similar races, so we get to see the other mode of high-speed uppercut treatment come into play here, being able to kill lots of different stuff. So we have Moose Gimmick coming down here once again, and we say, you know what, that is fine. We do not mind you casting that card at all. And I think at that point in time, we do say a pass. We're going to take advantage of the fact that that Moose Gimmick is large by going ahead and going cast Lucifer, hold priority, cast 1-hit KO. This is going to torrent it, which is also going to trigger Aideen. So Aideen is going to then make us a 0/1 Darkness Resonator token that I can banish to give us both 100 life, which again, because of Wang Xia, turns that token into a Lucifer. We will both gain 5, which is me gaining 5 and him losing 5. Then 1-hit KO will get to go on. We'll will go ahead and sack the token before one hit resolves. I'll gain another 1400, which will be 1800 life thanks to Wang Xia, and he will lose another 500. So essentially I just put out 2 spells and I get to drain Robert 1500 and gain 2800 myself here, immediately putting myself at much higher life total than Robert, and setting ourselves up for a pretty nasty next turn. Lucifer gets to come in here, drain 5, gain 9, because again, every time you gain life, it's actually more. Now, if we flip, you can imagine that having Wang Xia out and flipping Aideen is really gross, because then you get to do things like Lucifer, which is drain 9, gain 9, which is a little bit ridiculous. And we have higher life total than our opponent, so we're just going to go ahead and Judgment. Now we get to start burning for a total of 900 life drain every single time something resolves. So Lucifer's, like I said, drain 9. That one-hit KO in the graveyard can be drain 9. Lots of gross stuff. You see I have Revealing the Power of Salvation in hand. That's gain 14, drain 9. So it's a 2300 life point swing for 1 white, which is a little bit ridiculous. And we'll go ahead and swing in the air for 4 with Lucifer. Might as well. And we'll leave the Pack of Hounds up to try to set ourselves up for some more drain. First sort of progression comes down from Robert, does get to draw a card, but that drains him another 3, then drains him another 3 for draw for turn. And before recovery, we're going to go ahead and cast that Revealing the Power of Salvation. Again, this is me gaining 14 and Robert losing 900, taking him down to 700 before he even goes in, and he still has to deal with this board. It's a little bit ridiculous just how fast Aideen can get a ton of life very, very fast. Now, a little bit of an error here from us coming up. You'll see he does try to do Call of the Monarch with Robo Mugo during his main phase. Specifically, Robo Mugo says that you have to do his Call of the Monarch in a phase other than the main phase. So this is a little bit of an error for us here. I don't think it super matters in the context of this matchup, particularly just because of what's on field. And there's not really much that Robert would be able to do to come back here from 700 life. But it is something to note that Robo Mugo specifically's Call of the Monarch has to be in a phase other than main phase, and he does get to come into play recovered. So this puts him as a really nice one to animate during your opponent's end step and set yourself up for a big push in turn, especially since, again, you're going to have swiftness, and you see here Fire Ant Gimmick works really well with Robo Mugo because you can swing. If something gets blocked, you can blow up the Fire Ant and the thing that's blocking. Robo Mugo then hits your opponent and recovers all of your other guys, and you see here, again, with Moose Gimmick, they all have Pierce, and they're very large, so you can deal a lot of damage very, very quickly. So looking at Aideen, looking at all of this drain, looking at the fact that he doesn't want to draw a lot more cards. He's really got to think through this turn here and seeing what he wants to do. I do have a high-speed uppercut treatment in hand. I do have a Wang Xia in hand. Robert's just trying to think through the turn and how he answers this board state. High speed uppercut can do some pretty good work here. Fire Ant Gimmick is a little bit of a problem because he can kind of use it to destroy from off of the one hit the high speed uppercut instead. And one hit KO in graveyard does cost 1 more. So that would end the game if it only cost 1 black, because I could do a high speed uppercut and then do the torrent of one hit KO anesthesia instead, and make Robert gain 900 life and then just die. So we're kind of talking through what can attack, what the current state of the board is, what he has to kind of deal with, how he's going to respond to any of it. And Fire Ant, in this case, can potentially backfire based on what's in his hand, because it is a mandatory trigger from Fire Ant Gimmick if something is blocked. I have 1 darkness up and available. He's going to try to pay 2. Looks like potentially. Still has coin up. Gonna go for Robo Maeda's Last Resort. So chooses an automaton, the chosen resonator loses Eternal, then destroy it. If it was destroyed this way, it deals X 100 damage to each J resonator your opponent controls. And then the nice thing here, how it combos with Fire Ant, if I'm remembering correctly, is it doesn't say if that is destroyed. It's like it doesn't matter if the chosen is destroyed, it just matters if one is destroyed by its effect. So I think you could use Fire Ant Gimmick to kind of replay it. We're going to respond with a high-speed uppercut treatment, targeting specifically the Fire Ant to try to blow up the Fire Ant and force him to sack that for its own ability to, be the alternate, essentially. This will also still drain him 6. Because he gets to gain 200 plus the 400 from Wang Xia. So I'll go up to 76. He'll go down to 1. And this will mean that he'll lose the Fire Ant gimmick, and then if he decides to blow up Robo Mugo, which is fine for us, well, we're going to lose the board, but the Moose gimmick will be able to hit us for so little damage that it won't super matter. We're in a pretty safe bet with how much life we have here, and we're just going to accept that that's going to happen. With only coin available, it does not look like there's a sort of progression in hand for Robert, so it does look like this is probably going to get to resolve. Kind of walking through how things are going to get destroyed and kind of clarifying here with Fire Ant gimmick. One card left in hand, I believe it's the second Wang Xia for me at this point in time. So I'm going to try to destroy it and everything that shares a race with it, but he can destroy the Fire Ant gimmick instead. The layering here for what Fire Ant gimmick can protect is a little bit odd. I'm not entirely sure if Fire Ant gimmick would get to save the rest of them at this point in time, but it will certainly, if it's not able to save all of them at this time, then we're in really good shape. But if it is able to save them, then we at least still get the Robo Mugo off the board, which is what we want. So he's going to try to destroy the Moose gimmick at the end there. Now, but because he played the Robo Maeda, Robo Mugo this turn, it doesn't have swiftness. So it can't attack this turn. So a little bit of an unfortunate playthrough for us. Because it doesn't have that ability anymore, because it doesn't have another thing. So him sacrificing the Moose gimmick actually kept us even more alive. We're just going to immediately rejudgment out Aideen because we have he is imperishable, so we're fine there. We're going to go to Robert's turn. And then before draw on Robert's turn, we're going to go ahead and use that Wang Xia to do Lunar Protective Lifeform, mainly because we want to cast another spell. This will help us gain 1,500 life. All of the rest of the stuff doesn't matter. We ultimately just want to use it to try to have Torrent available so that we can use one-hit KO and just drain him for the 1,200 from there. Ultimately, flipping Aideen makes it not necessary because we could just cast the one-hit KO just regularly, have an extra stone, and just drain him for 1. But well, flashy. Let's have Aideen back out on the field because he can. Just in case there was some kind of cancel, I suppose. So I'm going to be going first again. We do see Robert gets to get a on the top Call of the Monarch, which is nice because I didn't have a turn 1 play. He gets that Fire Ant gimmick out. We do see an end of the turn Lucifer starting that cycle out there. Works nicely to be able to rip cards out of his hand. We're going to keep milling him at this point in time. Mill the 2 cards. From Meat Calling, does see the Robo Mugo. And this is, again, when we recorded this match, a little bit of an error on our part. It ultimately, Robert could just wait a single turn to play the Robo Mugo, and it would kind of do the same thing. We just speeding up the process a little bit, unfortunately, because we just forgot or didn't read Robo Mugo correctly. So Robert could have just passed the turn, gone to my turn, probably would have been easily able to, during my end step, animate Robo Mugo, and we'd just be half a turn behind where we are now. Grabs a second Fire Ant gimmick, which I think is something to learn from. We play this match as if he only has the ability to be destroyed when he's blocked once. I do believe having double fire ant gimmick, you can let me know in the comments below, having double fire ant gimmick actually makes this bad because that means 2 triggers to destroy the attacking resonator will be out, which is not what he wants, because then even if he gets rid of 1 fire ant gimmick, then it gets destroyed again anyway. But again, learning lessons, still kind of the flexibility here. You can see how fire ant gimmick works really nicely when paired with Robo Mugo to be able to get blockers out of the way, hit hard, recover, and kind of keep the pressure going. So you see, I'm going to try to block. It gets destroyed. He has to discard a card. Robo Mugo is going to hit me for 1100 damage. I'll go down to 13. Gets to recover and gets to swing again if he wants, which is gross. Swings with the fire ant gimmick. We're going to go ahead and flash in this Wang Xia. Now we can think about trying to block the Wang Xia. Ultimately, we choose not to, or with the Wang Xia, because we'd have to lose the Wang Xia anyway, rather than just take the damage. But ultimately, what we do instead here is that we're going to, we do decide to block, which I think is an interesting choice here. Knowing that I have 1-hit KO in hand, or high-speed uppercut treatment in hand, I think this is incorrect. Saving the Wang Xia actually makes more sense. So I'm gonna go, oh yeah, no, I'm just gonna actually take it. I'll take the damage from it. It's not Call of the Monarch. This one hasn't been, so it's not been pumped up. I don't really need to take the damage, in all honesty. I also don't need to block this Robo Mugo right now. I have 1-hit KO anesthesia in hand. He goes to try to use Hellfire. She doesn't have any kind of barrier. I clarify for that for him, that it doesn't actually do any damage to something that doesn't have barrier. There's no need at all for me to block this Wang Xia. High-speed uppercut would just get to kill both things. And I'd still get to keep my Wang Xia on board and keep my life loss up. This is just me unnecessarily losing cards. So it's a misplay on my sake 100%. So we're going to try to destroy both. I'll get to gain some life. I will get to drain a little bit, essentially gain 6, drain 5. But I lose the Wang Xia, which was not necessary. Just a full misflub up there. And the problem here that you'll notice with Robert, again, if we're like 1.5 turn or like half turn behind, is that he just gets to keep reanimating stuff. You can do Call of the Monarch multiple times per turn. The pressure from them is intense. He's already got me down to 15. It's not a great spot for me to be in. And again, these fire ant gimmicks put in a lot of work. Little measly blockers don't really help to stop the bleeding here when everything, because of the fire ant gimmicks, just gets destroyed. And then the fire ant gimmick itself can be the thing that's blocking, or that's sacked instead. So really just continual pressure from Robo Mugo, hitting that early off of the mill, or even me making him discard 1 is pretty intense. And 1100 damage, if you can keep multiple beast stuff online, then, you know, the 2200 damage off of a single Robo Mugo turn is pretty intense. Even through, you know, blockers, it doesn't really matter. So Robert here, thinking about how else he wants to reanimate. Get another fire ant gimmick, which again is that exact same thing we said before of, I think we're a little bit incorrect here. Life Sapper Chrono Gear comes down just to serve as a blocker. Makes the token. We have some of the cards that, like, when a resonator is banished, you do extra stuff. We're gonna, when he attacks with courtesans, we're gonna use courtesans. That's unchaseable, so we get to blow that up, gain a little bit of life, and try to live a little bit. We're now out of cards, and we have a Dragonoid Beekeeper. Not great. Not a great spot. Like, that Wang Xia would have been really helpful here to be able to make that courtesans be gain 14. But now we have 1 card in hand. Another Robo Mugo is going to come down. You know, I'll Robert would have to do is wait one more turn to do it during my end step and kind of keep that pressure alive. And we already know he plays Hellfire, so that's an even worse predicament for me to be in because he can just use Hellfire to get the Dragonite Beekeeper out of the way and not risk blowing any of his own stuff up. We can see that same kind of level of aggression come into play here. He would want to do it before he even moves to combat so that he doesn't have to risk Fire Ant blowing up his own stuff. But we get to do some pretty gross things. Robo Mugo comes down again here. You can see just a single one really pushes through. I don't really have a way to stop him from just using Hellfire if he wants to. Tries to go to combat. Does go to combat first. I think there's an advantage here to trying to swing with the Fire Ant first because I'm probably not going to block it, so it's just free damage. We'll do Revealing the Power of Salvation. It's our only card in our hand. We're knowing full well we're going to take a bunch of damage. He uses Hellfire here to get it out of the way, and I don't really know why at this point in time. The Fire Ant gimmick is already going to be destroyed. Again, he had it in hand, so a little bit of a better execution would have been to, as he moves to combat, use Hellfire, get it out of the way, because then he'd be able to punch me for a lot of damage. I'm only going to gain 1,000 here. Both the Fire Ant and the Robo Mugo would be able to swing again. You know, it's a lot. It's 11 plus 6, so 17, 34 just from those two being able to swing. But because the mandatory trigger there, he is going to lose the Fire Ant gimmick. I get to gain 6 thanks to the trigger from. I also then don't get to gain any life off of the Beekeeper's force effect. So he's going to lose that. Robo Mugo is going to hit me for 11, go down to 30, gets to recover, but doesn't have swiftness, thankfully, because there's no other thing there. He could always just call up the Monarch again if he wants to reanimate and have swiftness again and hit me for another 11, which would work well. You could even just reanimate the exact same Fire Ant. But you're kind of getting what's happening here. This is not going well. He's burned me out of resources. The pressure is just too much, and eventually I'm going to get drowned out by the aggression. So I'm just going to have to call Stone Pass. I have no cards in hand. I can't Judgment Aideen. All I have is Wang Xia, who serves me zero purpose here. And so we just kind of go from there. He has cast a sword, so he can now cancel if I happen to top deck something. But again, no cards in hand, nothing to play around with, just fully available to get decimated by whatever play comes next, which includes this handy dandy moose. So now he's got Pierce, which is just really gross. And he can do all kinds of stuff here to push through the damage. Like, it's going to be too much for me to be able to push through. He can swing with the Robo Mugo, swing with the Moose gimmick. When the Robo Mugo hits, he'll be able to recover. And so, actually, no, you got it. But we'll go ahead and pass it up, and we'll go into game 3. Hopefully, we can get a little bit of a turnaround there, a little bit of a better opener, and kind of keep the board more clear next time. See, we have another one-hit KO, which is really great. Lucifers are obviously helpful here. Anything that we can do to kind of keep the pressure up, which is keep the life gain swap happening faster, puts us in a much better position overall for this matchup. See a first turn Yokoshima Secret Laboratory. We're going to see a Callstone Pass. We have a Vacuous, which is also very good in this matchup, being able to expel a Robo Mugo, get it fully off the board, as well as being able to set stuff's attack and defense to be lower thanks to the tap ability, which is very nice. No Call of the Monarchs hit in those first 3 mills, so a little bit of a safety net for us, which is great. Draw for turn. We're trying to set up Torrent here, so we're going to go ahead and cast a Wang Xia before recovery. Seeing if we can get that out there. Do you see a command point, which is really good. gets that out of the board. You see we have Lunar Protective Lifeform, also very helpful in this matchup. We have 2 of them actually, which is really good if he gets an aggressive turn, since so many of his cards share the attribute that matters. While he's tapped out, we're going to go ahead and throw down Lucifer, get that first drain out there. We would love to have had Wang Xia out to make that work, but didn't, alas alack. See another mill. I still think we see not much aggression there. He has a salamander gimmick, but that's not the best. He is going to at least get it out onto the field. Kind of set some stuff up here. And then he does forget the enter effect here, which is a little bit of an error on Robert's part. Again, it searches for 2 cards with gimmick in their name and gets them to the graveyard, which is really good to get your fire ants out of the deck, so you don't have to worry about drawing them, or get a moose to the graveyard and not have to worry about them. We're going to go ahead and slam this Vacuous and set ourselves up for a nice protected board state to get that salamander gimmick out of the way. We don't want to deal with the fire breathing effect that it can grant to his other gimmicks. We would have loved to use it on a Robo Mugo, but this will do just as well. Being able to decrease stats is right. It's also really helpful for me. Vacuous is really good to be able to deal with fire ants before their block triggers happen, which puts us in a really, really good spot. We can even actually punish fire ant block triggers by like letting the block trigger happen and then killing the fire ant with Vacuous. So then the thing that he's swinging with does get to die anyway. So we're kind of setting ourselves up for a little bit of a more ability to mess with Robert's pressure here, which is great for us, because the longer the game goes, with us being able to disrupt his flow of tempo, the more little sling out drain pieces we get to throw out, and puts us in a much better spot. So Robert's still not seeing a Robo Mugo, which is great for us. So I believe he does just pass the turn here, which gives us more time to set up. Fire Ant is in hand, does just pass. For recovery, we'll go ahead and throw out a Lucifer, gets to drain 5. We're almost at the point where we can flip Aideen, but we have to wait a little longer. Just that slight bit of life drain difference to try to be able to do Judgment and set ourselves up nicely. Moose Gimmick comes down. No Call of the Monarchs during recovery, or during our end step. Calls a Stone, second Moose, and a Fire Ant. Just to get something online, we're going to try to do Call of the Monarch, just to get the Moose Gimmick out there, which is great for us. This actually helps us quite a bit because of one-hit KOs. Gives us a nice big target to be able to drain him out. Down comes Wang Xia, hopefully getting that to resolve. He says that's fine. And we'll go ahead and cast that one-hit KO. This is what we saw before. It's going to trigger Aideen. We're going to try to make a token. We're going to try to gain that 1,800 and drain Robert for a total of 5 twice. So we'll actually gain 2,300 here from this ability, and drain Robert 5. 10 total. So drain him down to a 3,000, and we get up to 5,800. So we're set up now. We're in the position where we can Judgment Aideen, which is really great. And we'll throw out another Lucifer before recovery just because we can, to try to do even more. Memory of Worlds is going to come down to stop it. Probably going to just say we're going to recast that Lucifer later if we need to. It's still drain gain 9 now that Hippocratic Suit is out. We're just going to start slinging damage, though. We're going to take him down to 4. Another 4, go down to 22. We have Lunar Protective Lifeforms to keep ourselves safe. We have that Lucifer we can recast. We start to think about casting this Pack-a-Pound, but ultimately decide to just pass the turn. We want to leave up Will for the one-hit KO, and I don't know why I put my Lucifer face down. I think I now forget that it exists there. But Lucifer being on the field plus 1-hit KO being in the graveyard puts us up for, again, another really great spot. Especially since we also can do Lunar Protective Lifeform in hand. There's a lot of things we can do here to really protect ourselves, make sure Robert can't get the Aggression, and then probably set ourselves up for a lethal drain line next turn. See another Moose come out here. And the question is, what is he going to do with it? Swings, looking at what he's got available here. Moose Gimmick is currently a 14-13 with Pierce, very large. Still got a lot of will open in his hands. Could try to use Last Resort. It does look like he has one of those in hand. It would certainly clear the board. Do quite a bit of damage. Gonna go ahead and swing at a Lucifer, which I think is an interesting choice here. We're gonna go ahead and use Lunar Protective Lifeform to cast Lunar Protective Lifeform to try to remove it from combat, draw a card, and gain 1900 life thanks to Wangxia. That is going to eat a cancel from Robert, which we go, you know what? That's fine. We mainly just needed the cast of the card to happen because now we can torrent. And so we're gonna keep that up. Pay our 2 here. Another 1-hit KO Anesthesia. This is going to make it so, again, we're going to drain him 9, and we will gain 18. So it takes Robert down to 13. We drain 18 life thanks to Wangxia combined with Aideen. Really, really good here. We're going to lose the Lucifer. We're like, you know what? That's fine. Lucifer's gone. Please discard a card. This is probably why he wanted to use the discard, because he wanted to get rid of the Robo Mugo in hand. And again, because we were playing a little bit incorrectly here, he's going to go ahead and do call up the Monarch this turn to get it reanimated, even though it has to be a phase other than the main phase. So it gets to come in here. It's going to go get a Fire Ant, and this is the setup we were talking about before. This puts us in a really good position to really mess with the Robo Mugo. We have the Vacuous. Right now, that Fire Ant is a 4/2. It's very dealable, so it's going to swing with Robo Mugo. We'll probably throw something under the bus to block it. Arguably, probably should be Hippocratic Suit because it has Imperishable. We want to keep the Wangxia alive as much as possible. And then in response to that destruction trigger, we can use Vacuous to kill the Fire Ant so that Robo Mugo gets destroyed by his own trigger. So he's going to go ahead and swing. We start to go tap the Vacuous and go, wait, let's make sure we sequence this properly. We're going to block with the Wangxia. This is a little bit of an error. We should certainly block with the Hippocratic Negative Oath. And then in response to the trigger, still use Vacuous to kill the Fire Ant because of the stat neg, which then puts us in a position to say, okay, we are good to go. Robo Mugo and Wangxia both get destroyed. Your board is tapped out. You only have 1 will. And then Lucifer plus Hippocratic Negative Oath can also get us there. So we'll see if Robert has a way to play around that. Does not. So that's going to go. Robo Mugo and Wangxia both get destroyed by the trigger. And then we pass the turn there, remembering to remove the 1-hit KO from the graveyard because of Remnant. Move to recover, and then moving into combat. Again, you see there, I completely forgot that I can recast that Lucifer. I just didn't think it. I have another one in hand too, so it doesn't super matter. We'll go in for 4 with Hippocratic Negative Suit. It's going to hit him for 4, take him down to 9. I'll then gain 4 and he'll drain 4, so really hitting him for 8 total, takes him down to 5. Lucifer gets to swing in, take him down to 1. And then just to lock things out to make ourselves safe, we're going to go ahead and play this Thrawn's Pack of Hounds, meaning that the second Robert draws a single card, Trigger's going to go on the chase and he will get drained. With Lucifer in hand and Lucifer from outside the game that can also be cast, and Robert only having one will, that will mean the scoop up of the game. So hope you guys liked it. Huge thanks to Robert for showing off. Learn the lesson about Robo Maeda in terms of Robo Mugo, but you can see the pressure it can generate and the cool stuff for solo Aideen with Wang Xia. But until next time, this is ZMO73 saying class dismissed.